from 1917 of one of Germany's wildest dreams coming true. Russian troops stopped fighting on the Eastern Front.
It was funny to see our Ivans greeting the Germans. The Germans gave our lads wine and cigars, and they gave the Germans bread. It turned out that one of the Germans had a camera. He told us to stand in a line and took a picture. Later, the photographer asked our lads to come and collect the photos.
Governments worried how to contain war weariness, prevent discontent growing mutinous, stop mutiny becoming revolution. And governments realized that turning this problem on its head offered a startling opportunity. What if unrest could be harnessed, reined in hard in your own country, but spurred on in the enemy's? In Cairo and Dublin, Petrograd and Zurich, the Allies and Germans set agents working to exploit unrest and foment revolution. The glittering prize was to turn a whole people against its masters, taking it out of the war completely. In Russia, the Germans pulled it off, backing the Bolsheviks to hijack a spontaneous revolution. Russia in 1917 was war-weary. Huge losses, poor leadership and corruption, plus the nightmare logistics of a 900-mile front, left our army running on empty.
I don't know whether Russia's dream of destroying Germany will ever come true. Probably not. We have nothing to fight with. No rifles, no mortars, no explosives, no boots, no overcoats. Nothing.
But incredibly, Russia's army held the line. It was the home front that cracked first. Petrograd, now St. Petersburg, Russia's capital and industrial powerhouse, seethed with discontent. Its factories were swollen with workers, with little to eat and cramped housing. A demonstration on the 8th of March 1917 began peacefully.
It was a glorious sunny frosty day, and all the people were in an excellent mood. They were singing the Marseillaise and asking for bread.
But the Tsar ordered the protests crushed. On Znamenskaya Square, in the heart of Petrograd, the killing began. Sergeant Sergei Kapitchnikov was there.
The ensign ordered the bugler to play 3 signals. Then he commanded, "Rifles, ready, aim, fire." Everybody scattered. One man was down. A woman fell.
Over 50 civilians were shot dead. The massacre forced Petrograd's soldiers to choose whom to defend, the people or the Tsar. Back in barracks, Sergei Kapitchnikov spoke to his comrades.
It would be better to die with honor than obey any further orders to shoot into the crowds. Our fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers and brides are begging for bread. Are we going to kill them?
They shot their duty officer dead and poured onto the streets, joining other mutineers and workers. British journalist Arthur Ransom cabled his office in London.
About 200 persons killed. Stop. Local police chief lying dead. Stop. Revolution definitely begun.
The troops gathered support at barracks and factories. They seized the city centre, set up barricades, occupied railway stations and the telephone exchange. Britain's military attaché, Sir Alfred Knox, was in the artillery administration when the building came under attack.
Outside came a great disorderly mass of soldiery. All were armed, and many had red flags fastened to their bayonets. Soon we heard the windows and door on the ground floor being broken in, and the sound of shots. Most of the officers were leaving the department by a back door.
In a matter of days, the Tsar's regime was spinning into freefall.
The revolution has begun. What happiness! The cursed autocracy is finally destroyed. The soldiers have gone onto the streets. The officers are hiding. It's all so unexpected, and everything's going at a gallop. We've all gone mad with joy.
Soldiers ordered into the city to restore control simply joined the mutiny. The Tsar was forced to abdicate, and a provisional government formed at the Taurida Palace. Russia's new rulers had their hands full running a war while riding a revolution. Germany looked to exploit the turmoil. Could Germany exploit Russia's revolution of March 1917 to lever Russia out of the First World War? Almost all the ingredients were in place. A major civilian uprising, restless troops at the front, and a toothless leadership in the rear. The Germans lacked just one piece of the jigsaw, a charismatic leader. But they had someone in mind. Vladimir Ilyich Lenin was leader of the Bolsheviks, a small group of extreme Russian radicals. They'd spent many hours over the past 14 years plotting revolution in coffee houses and prison cells. When at last it came, they were caught on the hop. Stalin was in Siberia, Bukharin was in New York, and Lenin was in Zurich. What torture it is for us, Lenin wrote, to be sitting here at such a time. He knew the Allies would never allow him passage. The obvious route lay through Germany and Sweden. But would Germany let him through? German agents had long been watching Lenin. They knew he wanted their enemy Russia out of the war.
Lenin's strong side is his organisational talent. He possesses the most brutal and relentless energy. Lenin's view is, it doesn't matter who wins the war. The defeat of Russia is preferable, victory worse.
Zimmermann counselled the Kaiser to approve Lenin's passage.
Since it is in our interest that the influence of the radical wing of the Russian revolutionaries should prevail, it would seem to me advisable to allow transit.
The Kaiser exploited Lenin as cynically as Lenin used the Kaiser, each thinking he had the better of the bargain. On the 10th of April 1917, Lenin, his wife Nadezhda Krupskaya, and his former mistress, Inessa Armand, boarded the train for Germany with other Bolsheviks. "The Kaiser's paying for the journey," jeered rival Russian socialists. "He'll be hanged as German spies."
Lenin stood listening and smiled. "Hiss as much as you like," he said. "We Bolsheviks will shuffle your cards and spoil your game."
To counter charges of working with the enemy, Lenin devised the fiction of a sealed train, claiming total isolation from the outside world. In fact, the group travelled in a regular carriage on a train that stopped frequently, taking 4 days to cross Germany. Though the train halted in Berlin, there's no evidence that Lenin met any German representatives. He knew the Germans were giving money to his Bolshevik party, but avoided direct contact. Germany's greatest help to Lenin's cause was getting him back to Russia. The night he arrived in Petrograd, Lenin addressed the crowd. Some were hostile.
Ought to stick our bayonets into a fellow like that. Must be a German.
But Lenin was soon winning converts, as Countess Irina Skaryatina saw.
Lenin is bald, terribly ugly, wears a crumpled old brown suit, speaks without any oratorical power, more like a college professor giving a lecture. Yet what he says drives the people crazy.
And what he said was, end the war, and by doing so give the people what they want, and what the provisional government had failed to deliver: peace, land, and bread. Zimmermann had agents in Petrograd, monitoring Lenin's progress.
Lenin's entry into Russia successful. He is working exactly as we would wish.
Just as the Germans hoped, Lenin's ideas spread to the front.
The regiments have turned into hordes of bastards, holding meetings led by the Bolsheviks. Military life has come to a standstill. The soldiers want peace, no matter what the conditions are. They want to go home to work the land and enjoy the results of the revolution.
On the 18th of June 1917, news of secret German funding of the Bolsheviks leaked. Lenin fled the city, heavily disguised. But the Bolsheviks countered claims that Lenin was a spy, using printing presses bought with German money. And they set about building worker support, helping arm the most militant to create the Red Guard. Lenin reappeared on the night of the 6th of November 1917, leaving this safe house for the Bolshevik HQ. He knew power had to be seized now.
We must not wait. We may lose everything. The government is tottering. We must deal it the death blow. To delay action is the same as death.
Journalist John Reed was at the HQ.
In the hall, I ran into some of the Bolshevik leaders. One showed me a revolver. The game is on, he said, and his face was pale.
Throughout that night, the Bolsheviks secured key points across Petrograd, with hardly a shot fired. The city awoke to a new world order.
I've just heard some stunning news. The provisional government has been overthrown. The telegraph wires are buzzing with decrees of the new Bolshevik government. All land is to be transferred to the people.
The first thing the Bolsheviks did was to take Russia out of the war, freeing the Germans from a crippling fight on two fronts. Germany's gamble on Lenin had paid off.
The Bolsheviks have brought about the crucial event of the century. They've discharged millions of Russian soldiers and freed the Germans' hands. A hot steam bath awaits the Allies.
Revolution and subversion had released 44 German divisions for the Western Front. Germany now had a chance to win the First World War.